everyone. My name is Ellen Schmidt, and I'm the CatchLight Local Fellow at MinnPost in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Report for America Corps member. I'm going to be talking about my work covering ICE's Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis this winter. And I'm feeling a little stressed, so I'm going to take a breath if you would like to join me. Breathe in. Okay, let's do this. So this work began slowly. I started to hear about ICE coming to Minneapolis after getting in touch with groups of organizers that had been supporting the community for different ways of holding power to account. And this began sort of in November and December when things were kind of happening at their height in Chicago with immigration enforcement, and I knew that they were probably going to be coming to Minneapolis next. I started shadowing a rapid responder from the federal building that you see here into communities where they were trying to do detainments. Everyone wanted to be anonymous, which made this work really difficult. This woman, I probably spent 80 hours in her car with her over the course of this winter, and I still don't know her first name. The helpers wanted to be anonymous so they could continue to help without barriers, and vulnerable people wanted to be anonymous because a text with a journalist could possibly get them deported, and that's not worth it. The pictures were bad and distant at first. This is a deportation flight photographed from like a mile away. And it was so hard because this huge thing was happening in my community and so many people were affected, and I felt like I couldn't find it. Pretty quickly, Operation Metro Surge and immigration enforcement began to unfold out my front window. This image was taken about a 10-minute walk from my home. An ICE agent here has a pregnant legal observer handcuffed face down in the snow after a protest erupted while they were trying to make a detainment. People in Minneapolis and Minnesota immediately resisted. They wanted nothing to do with ICE in their community, and they had experience with standing up to power from things that had happened in the past. Then January hit, and everything was chaos. This is the morning that Renee Good was fatally shot by a federal agent. I was out covering immigration actions in South Minneapolis, and I came across the ICE IDing this man and checking his passport while he was smoking a cigarette before work. After I photographed this situation, I moved a couple of blocks away to file images, and this was the next image I made after that. I had realized there was a shooting, and I jumped out of my car. In this image, Renee Good is getting CPR in the background, and a paramedic is reacting to the situation. The scene was really bad. It was just kind of on view for everyone to see. Me and another photojournalist were some of the first to the scene, and were kind of taking in ICE agents milling about and photographing just this awful scene. Protests erupted pretty quickly after that. People didn't want ICE to leave the scene where they had killed someone, where they had shot someone, and it became very hairy. Community members mourned immediately. The rest of the month was chaos. Bovino, who led ICE at the time, continued his sort of media campaign. He wanted to be photographed. He wanted the work they were doing to be documented. Families were separated by ICE, and protesters were injured. No one had control, but most tried to help. Protest was ever present, from driving to the grocery store, from being able to just hear it in my neighborhood, and then on top of that, covering it on a daily basis. It was everywhere. Many people participated. There were children out there. Something I thought was really beautiful about protest is I could see vulnerable people like peeking their heads out to participate while trying to stay safe. And hundreds of thousands of people came out to denounce ICE working in their community. ICE was ever present. and so is the resilience required to stand up to this kind of government over occupation. Whistles were everywhere. The sound of whistles was everywhere. As journalists, we drove around for like 8-10 hours trying to follow signal chats, kind of like a police dispatcher, and try to document ICE actions. And it was like -10 degrees for most of January, and we'd have our windows cracked listening for the sound of whistles so we could move toward it if we didn't have enough information to know where it was happening. Vulnerable people stayed inside. And we tried to tell their stories while keeping them safe. Alex Preddy was fatally shot 3 weeks after Renee Good. And this cycle kind of began again. It was ongoing, but this cycle of intense protest restarted. In people's homes. This man was trying to get home on the street where Alex Preddy was killed, and it was engulfed in tear gas. Minnesotans remained vigilant throughout. It was beautiful to see community rise up and try to protect each other. They shared food and opened doors. They sang in the streets, and they danced in safe places. They prayed together on Zoom, and they gathered in massive crowds to share their pain. One thing that I want to acknowledge about a way that I was able to earn trust from people in my community during that time is a single sentence. Whenever I felt someone wasn't sure if I should be there or didn't want me to make images, I kept repeating, "This is my neighborhood too." There was a lot of national media around, and being able to say, "This is my home, I am here with you in this," it went really, really far during that time. And I'm so grateful that my neighbors were able to trust me in that way. It's been an absolute but terrible honor to document this story. ICE is still in my home and out other people's front windows across the country. And I hope that local journalists everywhere get the support they need to do this kind of accountability work. Thank you so much.